Hello FPL managers and welcome back to FPL Saturday Live by Fantasy Football Hub. We'll be talking you through the 3 p.m. Premier League action live from an FPL perspective. We'll bring you all the goals, assists, bookings, injuries, dodgy VAR decisions and anything else live as it happens, but most importantly what this means for FPL. We'll also keep an eye on live bonus points, averages and stats courtesy of livefpl.net. My name's Andrew, and today I'm joined by one of the best FPL managers of all time. This guy's never finished outside the top 35k in 13 seasons of playing. He has 7 top 10k finishes and 2 top 500 finishes. It's the legendary Clarke. Rich, how do we find you today?
Hi Andrew, I'm good, thank you. Fresh from a Chelsea victory just now, so in a good mood after we've beaten Spurs. So commiserations, mate. But looking forward to this afternoon's games. They are perhaps not the most exciting of games, but we'll hopefully make them as interesting for FPL managers as we can.
Sure. Please give us a wave or a hello in the live chat. Tell us where you're from, what you want from the 3 p.m. games, and who your captain is for the game week. We are very interested to know. So let's get on with it, Rich. So what are the 2 games you are looking at this afternoon? And have you got the lineups?
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll start with the Newcastle and who are they playing? Sorry, who are they playing? Newcastle
away to Palace.
Palace. Yeah, sorry. Of course they are. They've got a couple of changes, I think, from ones where players have normally been playing. Ben Taleb seems to be starting alongside San Maximin. And Almiron and Sean Longstaff make up the midfield. Danny Rose continues at left back, and there's a fairly new face at right back called Lazaro, and he's starting at right back. Crystal Palace look pretty unchanged with Benteke keeping his place up front after finally scoring the other week. For those people that have Kelly, he's still out, and Joel Ward starts at the back. So that's really the Newcastle Palace game. Not a great deal of changes there going on. And then the other game I'm covering is the Sheffield United game against Brighton. And the big news from Bramall Lane is that John Lundstrom is on the bench again this week.
In my starting 11.
A lot of people kept him. Obviously, came on and scored last week, which is a real pivotal moment. I actually sold him before the game last week, thinking he wouldn't start. I got that bit right, and obviously was hurt by him coming on. But yeah, he is on the bench again. Seems a bit harsh, but hopefully, he'll come on and make another cameo for people that do still have him in their teams. It's a familiar side again for Sheffield United in midfield with Burge, Norwood, and Fleck all starting. The same across the back as usual, with all the usual defenders. And then Billy Sharp and Ollie McBurney get the nod again up front. Brighton, they start Glenn Murray and Neil Maupay up front at the same time, which is quite a difference. But there are no places this week for Gross, Trossard, Connolly and Jahanbach, who are all on the bench for this game. So if you have any of those out there, then you're looking at a bench spot for those guys. Other than that, they're pretty unchanged.
Okay, thanks for that, Rich. I'm not sure what happened, but maybe my signal might have dropped at the start, so thanks guys for pointing that out. As you can see, I have moved. I'm in my attic, and I've got some new tech and new equipment and router, which I'm getting used to, so apologies if anything falls out, drops out. Any feedback is appreciated. Afternoon all. Manu, Will Meller, Yusuf, Michael Svedin and Ben Bishop have both gone for Marnie, the same as me. He's very lowly owned. I'll go through some stats in a second, but I will I'll look at that now. Andrew Ferguson, my namesake. Hello there, Andrew. What results are we hoping for today? So this is a question of Michael. So I've got Danny Ings, and probably a Sheffield United clean sheet for Henderson, even though I benched. Even though I played Lundstrom. Hello, John Tyner. Yusuf has got Salah as captain. Manu, have you heard what happened to Andy? No, I haven't. I'm not sure if you mean me or another Andy. And John Tyner's captain Salah. Bogdan as captain Mane, and double trouble as captain Salah. So all Liverpool, all on Monday night at the moment. In terms of the team sheets for the games I'm covering, so I'm covering Southampton versus Aston Villa. The team sheet for Southampton: Alex McCarthy in goal, James Ward-Prowse, Jack Stevens, Jan Bednarek gets his place back, and Ryan Bertrand. Then we've got Hoberg, Smallbone, Stuart Armstrong, who seems to be getting a good run in the side, Musa Gineppo, Danny Ings for those who've got Ings. I was very tempted to captain Ings and Shane Long. And subs on the bench, I've got Angus Gunn, Jan Valery, Vestergaard, Romeo Boufal, Obafemi and Che Adams. Bogdan is hoping for some returns from Shane Long. The best of luck with that. He seems to be a man on form. And for Aston Villa, so the main team news, which stopped me captaining Ings, is Tyrone Mings is back in the team. So he had tonsillitis apparently last week, which is why he was out, but he's back in the team. So that's the news that stopped me captaining Ings, move it to Mane. And Matt Targett faces his old team. So their full team is Pepe Reina in goals, defence Konsa, Mings, House and Gilbert. Then we've got Douglas Luiz, Nakamba, Targett, El Ghazi, Samatta and Grealish. So quite an attacking team there, looks like, from Villa. Nyland, El Mohammadi, Engels, Drinkwater, Hurahan, Trezeguet and Borja are on the bench for those. Burnley v Bournemouth then is the other game. Not the most exciting game in the world, but we will run through it. There's one change. Matej Vidra starts his first league game since November 2018 for the injured Chris Wood. So their full team. I've copied the Villa team twice. I'll have to bring you that team in a minute. The team for Bournemouth, the news there is Joshua King returns to the starting 11. Jack Stacey makes his first start since December, and Ake and Lerma are out with minor injuries. So their full team, it's Ramsdale in goals, Stacey, Francis, Cook and Smith in defence, Billing, Sermon and Gosling in midfield, and then Harry Wilson and Josh King behind Callum Wilson. On the bench for Bournemouth are Borek, Rico, Simpson, Lewis Cook, Stanislas, Fraser, who I thought has looked good recently, and Solanke.
Yeah, it looks like Rico's lost his place though. A lot of
that's a shame for the for those who've got him for 4 million. Just quick question in the chat. Magic Spitfire sold Vardy for Jimenez. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So,
you did as well. Ooh,
yeah,
I've got them both.
Yeah, at about 25 past 11, actually.
Really? Okay.
I was contemplating saving a transfer to get play the long game and have two going into 28, 29, and then I thought I've got no Wolves cover. Leicester playing City, and I just thought I want Jimenez for the next 5 weeks, so I just used my transfer on it. I didn't take a hit for him, but did the same move. Good move.
I've got Jimenez, Ings. I've also got Vardy still up front, just holding on to him for the next few games.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with holding on to him. I mean, his fixtures really pick up after this week. It's just the form that I think people are starting to get exasperated about. So it's fine to hold Vardy if you have that, but I just thought having Jimenez was slightly better option for me.
So so we haven't got Adam here today. He's had a big work project dumped on him, which sadly likely means he'll also have to miss the podcast on Monday. But obviously, because it's only the 4 games anyway, Rich and I decided that we can probably cope with these. Just a few questions on the chat then. A question from Ben Bishop: Soyuncu or Bolly for the rest of the season? It's a good question. I'd be tempted by Bolly, in all honesty. I think he's got a bit more attacking threat. Wolves look better. I know Soyuncu had a clean sheet in his last game, but before that he didn't have a clean sheet in the last 6 or 7, so I would personally say Bolly on that. Rich, one for you. Michael Svedin: is it time to look at Chelsea players again? Great fixtures incoming. I noticed Alonso scored and looked very, very dangerous. I mean, I think with Chelsea you never know who's going to play at the moment. Would be my I had 3 Chelsea players earlier in the season when they were going well and had a more steady side, but at the moment they seem to be chopping and changing all over the place. So you don't know who's going to start up front. It could be any 4 or 5 from 10. So I don't think it's the right time to have players from teams that are not starting games.
period. So I would be still staying away for the minute.
Just a stat I've just seen off Sky Sports Stato. So Max Alonso has scored the most goals by a defender since August 2016. Are you able to guess, Rich, how many goals do you think Alonso scored since 2016?
Oh, 15.
Oh, 17. It's really good effort though. And Van Aanholt has got 15, and Nathan Ake was third with 11. So right. If he can get back in the team, he'd be very dangerous.
He's a great player if he's starting.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So the games have just started. No action yet. Just a few stats then. So top transfers in this game week. The most transferred in player, unsurprisingly, this game week was Raul Jimenez. He had around 315,000 transfers in. Danny Ings then after that, so he had 290,000 transfers in. Richarlison had 195,000 transfers in. Fourth was, interestingly, Mane, since he was sold a couple of weeks ago. He obviously scored last week on his return game. I'd captained him this week. I think just my observations throughout the season is when Mane and Salah both play together, Mane seems to get the better chances and the more points, but I'm going with that. I've got some captaincy stats in a minute which are quite startling actually with Salah, but we'll look at those now. And Adama Traore was the fifth most transferred in player with 186,000 transfers there. Top of the transfers out, unsurprisingly, Heung-min Son. Desperately unlucky for people who brought him in last week, and some even brought, I think there was something like 70,000 owners before he got injured this week as well, so that's really, really tough. But he's been sold by 363,000. Kelly has been sold by 269,000. Vardy ahead of Man City, but also ahead of four very nice fixtures indeed, has been sold by 248,000. Abraham, seemingly quite rightly, Rich, I don't know how you feel about this, missed the last two now. 193,000. Do you think he's been dropped or just being rested or rotated?
I think he's not completely fit. I think he probably was rested. He came on late as a sub against Tottenham, but he's probably been rested with a view to giving him a start in the Champions League next week. And just because I don't think he's fit enough to play twice in 4 or 5 days.
Okay. A couple of questions from Will Mellor. Would Vardy be a good player to bring back in next week? And how about Abraham? So Vardy has looked very, very out of sorts, but he's a very streaky player. So for me, I think he's not going to be. Leicester and Vardy are not going to play as bad as they have been. So I think he could turn out well over the next month or so. Abraham, as we just said, probably not. Doesn't look quite fit. And probably a more important question off Will, Rich. Takeaway pizza or Chinese, lads? What's your favourite there, Rich?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'll probably go for a Chinese.
I'd definitely go for a Chinese. Takeaway pizza, absolute waste of money. Get yourself down Asda.
You just eat or Deliveroo.
Absolutely. And just to finish off the top transfers of the week, Aguero was transferred out, 157,000. I thought that was very interesting as well. Obviously, he blanked. After all the drama and controversy of the rearranged game, he eventually blanked on Wednesday. But yeah, and obviously they're away to Leicester and they blank next week, and their fixtures aren't nice for a while actually. But there is the outside chance of a double game week in game week 29 if the fixtures fall that way. So a tough one to hold on to. But I'm not sure if anyone want him back for 29, but we will see. Question from Michael Svedin: is Jota worth a punt? I think he is. What about you, Rich?
Good. Yeah, well, obviously he scored a hat-trick Thursday evening. And for me, I did think about bringing him in for Calvert-Lewin this morning, just as a real differential. I owned Jota, obviously, at various times earlier in the season, and he was very disappointing. Yeah. And again, fixture-wise, good swap for someone like Calvert-Lewin versus his fixtures, but I just thought if I own Jota, I'll probably still want Jimenez, and therefore I just went for the popular pick of Jimenez instead. But yeah, I don't think he's a bad differential, and he could. He's obviously with a hat trick, he could produce really well over the coming weeks, particularly if your budget won't stretch you to Jimenez. Yeah, good option at 6-1.
I agree with that. Another question then, of Tassi Akvan Duishmark, between Jimenez or Saiss, who to bring in for blank game week? I think Jimenez has probably got to be top of your list, but I've brought in Saiss this week. I'd probably bring in Jimenez above Saiss, but I do think that Jimenez is the one you want. He's the man.
I think so. I mean, a Wolves defender is a logical purchase next week. I mean, most people now in game week 28 will be having to offload one of a Sheffield United, Villa, Arsenal, or City player. So it's the question of where those guys can fit into your side. For me, it's to do with the fact that I've got 3 non-playing midfielders, so I'll have to get a midfielder next week. But yeah, if you've got space in your defence, go for a defender. But it all depends on getting a side out next week for me.
Yeah. Is this the death of the 4 million defender? So just saw something on Twitter saying that Rico, Kelly, and Lundstrom, with joint ownership of 3.8%. In terms of 3.8%, own them all. They're all benched this afternoon, so I think we've had a really nice run of with those players. But I'm still hanging on to Lundstrom, absolutely stupidly, I know, but he's one of those players.
Oh, we got a goal, and
we got a goal. We got a goal.
I think so. Well, SofaScore are calling one. I don't think it's got through VAR yet, but it's telling me on my watch it is 1-0 to Southampton.
Southampton.
So, yeah.
Do we know? Have we got any info?
Let me have a look. Let's see if I can get a goal scorer from our various. Yeah, Shane Long, apparently.
Shane Long. So someone in the chat earlier wanted Long. He is on form.
Yeah.
He's on form.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good differential if you've got him.
He is. We will try and bring you it was Bogdan in the chat earlier. So well done, Bogdan. Long has turned out to be a very astute pick. A bit of news, one of the other games, a Palace corner is met by the head of Cahill, who powers it towards the top corner, but Dubravka claws it away. And also, someone watching the Sheffield United game said Fleck looks like a really, really nice player. So the clean sheet has gone early then for Aston Villa. Mings hasn't done the business so far, but
just coming through, it's Gineppo with the assist for the goal.
He looks quite a sharp player as well, don't he? As well.
Yeah.
Question of Michael Svedin, Rich: is Docker getting over Bolly if you can afford it?
If you can afford it, I think so. Yeah. I will probably go Bolly just because of the value, obviously, I'm looking a few weeks ahead at the possibility of the Man City double in 29, and so at that point you'll need all your extra cash for Laporte's or Aguero's or whoever you want to bring in alongside De Bruyne. So holding on to your cash is probably a good idea at the moment as well. Okay. So that probably favours Bolly.
According to Bogdan, Gineppo playing as a right back. Neil Murray at Ronaldinho says Aston Villa's defence is one of the worst I've ever seen in the Premier League. It's even more bizarre made the fact they have John Terry, one of the best defenders to ever play in the league, on their coaching staff. Very interested there from Neil. Will Mellor asks, is Dubravka a viable option? So I tipped it up on the podcast a few weeks ago. Not the fact that I think he's the best pick, but if you're looking for a differential, Newcastle's fixtures basically from now until the end of the season, they've got the third best fixtures in the hub fixture ticker, one after the other. I think they got one, so I think he is a good option. And if
how much Newcastle, is he, Andrew? About 5.
I think he's about 5.1 or something like that.
Yeah, he's quite expensive, isn't he? They obviously rivals with Henderson and Pope and that kind of upper 4 level keeper. So yeah, he's they've got good fixtures. So he's perhaps worth a punt. I prefer the value of Lascelles, someone like that.
Yeah.
To get into the Newcastle defence.
Yeah, Lascelles is. I think he went up in price this week to 4.3. I got him in a couple of weeks ago at 4.2. Hasn't done much for me yet, but hopefully he will soon. So just some stats on some captain ownership. Then this was quite an interesting one. So this is for the top 10k. So those who are flying high in the upper echelons, this is for you. So in the top 10k, Mohamed Salah was captained by 81.6% of managers. Obviously, absolutely huge that is. So anyone who hasn't gone with Salah, if he
Well,
hauls,
no,
he could
I
be in real
haven't.
trouble then. Who have you gone with, Rich, out of interest?
I've gone with Mane, so
Oh,
I've
same as
I
me.
got both of them, and I just thought this is an opportunity to
Agree,
try
yeah.
and get a cheeky differential. So
Yeah.
taking a bit of a risk against the herd, but I just felt that after Klopp made that comment about the fact that he was definitely not injured and he was rested, that made me think this has got to be worth a chance to climb the ranks if he gets a brace on Monday. I've still got Salah, so not worried about too much about the captaincy. But yeah, it's a bit risky. But
No,
don't
I'm
get
with you, Rich.
opportunities like that very often to captain Mane when a lot of people don't even have him.
Yeah,
So.
no, I agree. And Mane's only been captained by 6.68% of managers in the top 10k. Jimenez, who's obviously home to Norwich, 2.65%, quite low. Alexander Arnold, 2.48%. 1.93% have gone for Danny Ings, who I was tempted by Ings, I say, but with Mings back, that changed my mind yesterday. And De Bruyne at 0.9%. So that's the captaincies for the top 10k. Just to answer a couple of questions in the chat. Hello, Hornet FPL. Stalwart of all our live streams. Great to have you on again, Hornet. Will Mellor, I have Lascelles, Rui Patricio, a better pick rather than doubling up on Newcastle. Yeah, Wolves have definitely improved at the back. When Bolly plays, they seem to be good. I think they've kept 2 clean sheets on the bounce now, I think. Is that right? So any thoughts on that, Rich?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could double up at the back. Wolves defender, very good idea over the next few weeks. I haven't got mine in yet. It's just a question of priority. It will happen.
Sure. And to answer Wilson NG's question, will Adam come today? Sadly not Wilson. Adam has been called off on real life work stuff, so you're stuck with myself and Rich for the afternoon. And overall captaincy then, so this is overall obviously all the teams playing FPL. Salah's captaincy is 34%, which is still very, very high when you consider the next one down again is Mane at 8.72% rate. So I know that both me and you are not in the top 10k. I think you're higher than I am, but 8% overall. If Mane can can score
absolutely
7 or 8 points more than Salah, or potentially even more, then we will be in the money. If not, and Salah smashes it, Mane gets nothing, we are in big trouble. Kevin De Bruyne is then 7.5% owned. Aguero 7.37. Aubameyang 5.29 and Vardy 4.89. But I did notice under there you had players like Kane and stuff like that. So probably we're getting to the realms then of lots of the dead teams. Magic Spitfire. Everyone seems to have gone with Salah as captain to maintain league position rather than looking for a differential. Well, I kind of agree with you. Aside from me and Rich, we've both gone with Mane. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, it is. If you are up the top, or you're happy and you're winning your mini league, beating your friends, then Salah's a very safe pick this week, and that's probably why everybody has gone with him. But it comes down to ownership, really. I think Mane's only about 20% owned,
Yeah.
so one good week from him, and it'll go up to above 30 again. So this is the time to captain him. I thought.
I think I would. I think I'd say as well, Rich, that I didn't just pick Mane because he was a differential. It's every time, for the majority of the season when Mane and Salah have played together, Mane seems to be the man who's got the points the majority of the time. Is my observation. I know. Adam says that it's kind of one or the other haul, which is fair. But Mane was a default captain earlier on the season. It was between kind of Mane and Vardy. So if he can get anything like that form, looked really sharp last week. I personally think that Mane is a better captain choice than Salah this week. So I didn't really look at ownership. I just looked at who I wanted to be the captain, and for me, he was the one.
No, I agree. I thought he was a bit unlucky to come off. He did get carded against
Yeah.
Atletico. But he looked pretty good, and he's only had a half, so no worries about his fitness. I don't think anymore. So
Okay.
I think Monday, and it's quite nice to have, certainly quite nice to have a captain in the last game of the week as well on Monday night. So I'll look forward to that game now.
Okay. Apparently another incredible save from Davrabka, this time from
Um,
Dan, whose near post header was flying into the net. So it seems like Palace seem to be a bit all over Newcastle at the moment, and Davrabka is saving them. It looks like.
right.
John Tyner, I have Foster v Liverpool as goalkeeper for 28. Is it worth using a free transfer to bring in another goalkeeper? I have Henderson. Any thoughts on that, Rich?
I think if he has Henderson and Foster, he has a keeper for 31 already. So
Yeah,
I think, given the value of transfers at the moment, I just hope for some save points in that game. You'll
yeah,
probably get plenty, and you have a keeper who's in goal for game week 31.
yeah.
So you've got an advantage on most of the other managers there.
Okay.
So no.
Just a few stats then around ownership and effective ownership. This look at Salah's Salah's effective ownership in the top 10k is absolutely insane. I think we said this a few weeks ago from I'm not sure who it was. Was it Vardy or I can't remember. But I said I've never seen it as high. I certainly have never seen this as high as this. So Salah's effective ownership in the top 10k is 175.24%. Have you ever seen effective ownership as high as that, Rich?
Well, that's pretty high, isn't it? Maybe in the days when we had Ronaldo playing or something, we didn't have
Yeah,
effective
maybe.
ownership stats then, did we?
Yeah. No, no, no.
So
Exactly.
Suarez every week. Those days probably
Yeah,
could have got up towards 200 when everyone had him. But
yeah.
yeah, it was. That's pretty high, isn't it? Oh God, I hope he doesn't do too well on
This, yeah, exactly.
on
Um,
Monday.
he's 93% owned in the top
Yeah.
10k.
The other thing is, I think Milner might play on Monday, and when Milner plays, I
Yeah,
think it lessens the appeal of Salah just because of the penalties. I mean, he may not start, but he came on in the week, and so I think he's back and available. So Klopp might give Milner a start.
I would agree with that. Apparently, Joe Linton just had a really good strike for Newcastle. He was unlucky not to score there. Just going down the ownership then, Kevin De Bruyne, effective ownership in the top 10k of 92%, owned by 92% of the top 10k. So if you've got De Bruyne, not much is going to happen then if he holds, which I think we all kind of noticed on Wednesday, didn't we? Anyone who had him but didn't captain him, I was like, oh, nice 14 pointer. It didn't really move, and you can see why with those stats. Alexander Arnold, effective ownership is 90% in the top 10k, 87% owned in the top 10k, and then you've got Ings, who's with the best of the rest. So he's got 81% effective ownership, 79% owned by, and then you get down then to Jimenez, Grealish, Vardy, Lundstrom, Traore, and Henderson, who are all kind of between 40 and 50%. One of my graphics has gone. That's a shame. It was the overall effective ownership for all ones. So I'll try and see if I can grab that. Grab that again. Question off: Are City likely to maul Leicester, with Leicester struggling to beat the top sides and with no fit defensive midfielder? What are your thoughts on that game? That 5:30 game later, Rich?
I don't think it'll be the same as I think they played over Christmas, didn't they? And I think City won about 4-0 or something, didn't they? 4-1, 4-1 or something. It was a bit of a mauling
Yeah.
at the Etihad. I don't think it'll be like that again. I think this game, funnily enough, could suit people who've hung on to Jamie Vardy because
Yeah.
he's always good at on the break, when City are pushing up and he's running over the top or running in behind, he can be very effective in that. So you could see quite a few chances for Leicester tonight. I do expect City will dominate the game and the possession, but I can see Vardy scoring or there being a penalty incident or something like that. So if you have got Leicester players, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just sit back and enjoy the game.
Yeah, sure. Just an update from the Southampton game. Apparently, Ings just missed a one-on-one with Reina.
No, I think we got another goal though. By the looks of it, it's a goal for Bournemouth, I think, Andy,
Goal for Bournemouth, okay.
against Burnley. Just let's
Not good
get
for Pope owners if that stays.
confirmation of that. Normally, these notifications come out pretty quickly pre-VAR, so often they can get VAR'd out. But yeah, I've got rumours of a goal, I shall say,
Bournemouth, is it?
and it's Josh King apparently.
Josh King back in the team.
Yeah.
Off a corner, apparently, I think. It sounds like it was a corner, so who takes the corners for Burnley these days?
Normally Rico, but he's not playing.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shout.
It's Rico or Fraser, but they're not on the.
No.
Not on the pitch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. So King off the corner. We'll get the assist when we
We'll
can.
give you the assist as soon as we can.
Yeah. And just before that, there was a comment just saying that Palace were all over Newcastle. So I've got Lascelles on my bench, but anyone who has got Dubravka, Lascelles, Fernandez, or anyone else, it seems to be only a matter of time before.
Oh really? Okay. I've got Lascelles on my bench today. He's first defensive sub for me, but hopefully he'll get something because you never know who's going to play, do you? It's always good to have your first sub with some bench points.
Yeah. It sounds like Philip Billing assist potentially on a Cherries corner. I was thinking of.
Oh no! I think it's been VAR'd out. It's gone 0-0.
Oh, it hasn't, does it?
Score correction. It says it's gone back to 0-0.
Yes, it has.
So,
yeah, I've had that through as well.
No, sorry guys. We're only
goal disallowed.
Oh, God. I'll try and get the reason, but it looks to me like there's been some sort of VAR incident, and
it looks like a handball off Billing in the build-up.
Oh, okay.
Not good, but if it's handball, it's handball. Nikisa Cook, our mini league leader after wildcard, went for Martial captain without Salah, with all Salah captainers behind. Crazy move, 50-point lead. Wow, that is. I wonder if they remember to set their team home to Watford. Watford have improved, but
I think that's a good move. I mean, Martial scored, didn't he, in the Europa? Scored a nice goal in the week. I think he scored last weekend as well, so he's showing a bit of form.
Fair enough.
Could well be a good move again. You want to ignore price and that United could haul in that game.
I'm sure against Watford they seem to have improved, haven't they? I'm assuming that player has got Salah, but I suppose if Martial does get a goal or two and Salah doesn't, then that lead will be a lot more than 50. But if not, a very good chance to eat into that lead.
Yeah.
So that's Chelsea Spurs match then. Rich, is there anything else jump out to you? What do you think of Spurs? I noticed Ali was on the bench. Aurier was on the bench.
Yeah, I thought there were a couple of strange selections from Jose. Clearly, he's trying to rotate with very meagre options, but I thought he would have played Dele Alli with the absence of Son and Kane, particularly because Dele Alli is quite tall, and Lucas Moura, who's his only real other attacker, is quite a little guy. Yeah. So I was a bit surprised that Ali didn't start, and Spurs do look a bit toothless, don't they, without their main players. So I'd probably be avoiding them from an attacking perspective. I also noticed Aurier didn't start, which was quite strange. He's also probably the most highly owned Spurs player. So that, when I looked at the two sides at the beginning, I was thinking, well, they're pretty depleted, both of them. So it was that was what stood out for me, was that they were quite had eaten into their squads a little, both teams.
A question from James Harding. This was our next topic to talk about. Actually, it was what are you guys? What are your guys' teams looking like next week without KDB, Grealish, and Sheffield United defenders? Any doubtful players coming in? Just before I ask you that, Rich, apparently Benteke has had another shocking miss. Gineppo has had another chance, but Reyna's there to make another strong save, and El Ghazi is down receiving treatment.
There has been a goal, I think.
There has been a goal.
Sheffield United. So anyone who's got
Um,
Ender
I think
Stevens,
Ender Stevens. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
if you've got Ender Stevens, then you're in the money.
There's a
So
lot.
Sheffield, that's the end of my Ryan clean sheet. Although I am getting used to that disappearing every
Yeah,
week. Got to get rid of the Brighton keeper. I'm just waiting for a week when I can do that. But yeah, it's 1-0 to Sheffield United. VAR pending as usual. But good for Stevens owners there. He's quite highly owned, is he? You got him, Andy?
I haven't. I've got him in. I've got him in Sky. Just
Okay.
I haven't got him in.
Yeah.
I haven't got him in this, but I think it's deserved in all fairness because he's looked dangerous all season. I think in all fairness, haven't he? He's looked a really really good player, and I think Will from the hub has actually got him. I was having a look at his team this morning. I think Will's got him. So if that's right, Will, well done. You deserve a bit of luck this season. So apparently it's a volley. We'll try and get the assist through as soon as we can get that. Apparently it's no assist. Apparently it's a thunderous strike into the roof of the net. So it sounds like a really good goal.
They're very good. Look
Very
forward
good.
to seeing that one later.
Yeah. If only it was Lundstrom, but there we go. It's a shame. So game week 28. Rich, what's your team looking like for next week?
Yeah, good discussion point and great question. I have four outfield players going into next week who have a blank, so I'm really on the limit for getting a side out. Assuming I get no injuries this weekend, then I'll have to get rid of one of those players next week. So at the moment, I have O'Connell for Sheffield United, Fleck for Sheffield United, Grealish, and De Bruyne. And it's a real dilemma as to who to lose because Sheffield United have a fine fixture the following week in game week 29. Is it, I think, Norwich at home or something? They've got a really good game. I'm not sure exactly who they're playing, but they've got a good game. And so therefore you think, well, I want to hang on to both my Sheffield United players for one more week. Don't really want to lose Grealish because of form, and obviously Kevin De Bruyne with a 14-point return last week and the prospect of a double in 29. You want to keep him as well. So really, I think it's a question of maybe that's my opportunity to bring Bolly in. Didn't bring him in this week. I'll bring Bolly in and possibly even bench him. I can't bench him, so he'll have to play against Spurs. So yeah, I'll probably lose one of the Sheffield United players and just make sure I can cover the defence up to game week 31. And I think for me now, all my transfers are I'm tiptoeing towards game week 31, and we'll come on to that topic later. But the reason is because of the second blank and the possibility of not using the free hit chip, which is a big discussion. But every transfer at the moment, I'm trying to bring in a Wolves player or a Burnley player or someone that has a fixture in 31.
Bogdan has just said Brighton goal. If that's
yeah.
the case, that'd be really interesting because obviously a lot of Sheffield United.
Well, Sheffield United
defenders
ownership
out.
of the defence, yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
Neil Maupay, apparently.
Oh no way! I took him out a couple of weeks ago after he was dropped.
There's people with him for the last 7 weeks, haven't they? And they all get rid of him and he scores. There we go.
Not good for Sheffield United. I've got Henderson in goal, so that one wiped out. And I've also got McCarthy on my bench, who's currently keeping a clean sheet. So, but that's just this season for you, I think. In terms of my team for next week, so I've got on my bench. I'm just having a look now. So I'm going to have Henderson. At the moment, Lundstrom, Fleck, and De Bruyne on my bench. I will have a starting 11 out. At the moment, it's not looking too bad. I've got McCarthy in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Saiss, Lascelles, and Tanganga. If he plays against Wolves.
Yeah, today.
I've got Hayden against Burnley, who was dropped last game.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he started this game. I'll have to check that.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't in the side.
He wasn't, was he? Oh, Webster got the assist for Brighton, who was my transfer out this week. God,
no.
I had Maupay and Webster 2 weeks ago. Brought them in my wild card for 25 and goal and assist. There you go.
That is unlucky.
I will then also have Salah and Mane in midfield. Then Jimenez, Ings, and Vardy. I'm not really sure who to captain there. Not the best fixtures all round.
Mm.
But
Well, Vardy might be a decent captaincy choice if you still got him,
he
mate.
may be against
Um,
Norwich, but Norwich have tightened up, haven't they? So
Seemed to
it'll
be,
be a
yeah.
tough one.
They gave Liverpool a good game, didn't they, last week? Given
Mm,
the, but maybe that was the wind or something. I
yeah.
don't know. But they didn't ship loads of goals. Be interesting to see how they get on this week.
Uh,
Um,
Question from Magic Spitfire. Any thoughts on Harvey Barnes as a good value asset considering Leicester's fixtures after this game week? Have you got any thoughts on that,
Yes,
Rich?
he's on my watch list, definitely. I mentioned the probably losing a Sheffield United player, so possibly my transfer next week will be Fleck to Barnes.
Okay.
I have the money as a result of the transfer. My only reason I might not do that is again that the point about game week 31 is that I will need to make one transfer, and as long as I bring in a player who's playing in 31, it keeps the team flexible going into that. It's
Yeah.
quite a long range strategy, but
Mm.
I'm just looking to keep my free hit if I can.
Question from Michael Svedin, and this one is a very good question because it's probably a move I'm looking to make. Your thoughts about Bruno? So I think, looking at the fixture ticker, I think United, I think it's from 31, is it 31 or 30 onwards, have got really good fixtures right to the end of the season. They've actually got the best of all teams from 30 or 31.
Really, he's not talking about the Brighton defender, is he?
I, I,
I
I
assume
hope
he's
not.
talking about the
I'm assuming he's on
The
about Bruno
United midfielder,
Fernandes,
right?
yeah. But Fernandes, from what I can see, is the kind of player who would thrive in that in that United team, and hopefully, well, I say hopefully I'm not a United fan, but I can see him making United thrive as well. He seems to be, he can be that player, which Pogba was a couple of years ago in terms, the one who drives it forward on set pieces, long range shots, cute little passes, really intricate play. I think he could be a really good player. I think United need that kind of player with all their youngsters to keep driving them forward. So I think he's a really good shout. I think he's a good price, and I'm definitely looking to bring him in over the next tour. I want to try and get him in early before 31, so that potentially can get a goal, a goal or two or some points before the herds get on him. But I do think by game week 32, 33, he will be in a lot of teams personally.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I haven't been like he's got one assist so far. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's still. I think he's still one to watch. Personally, I just think United as well are still haven't. Still not consistently playing well. And without Rashford, um, I'm not completely convinced. I did have Martial just because of the value.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, but yeah, he's popular, isn't he? He is popular.
He is. Yeah, I think he's going to be a really good player. So I'm looking at him for all my fantasy teams. Rudrask Sharma asks, any goals for Calvert-Lewin in the next 3 game weeks? So Everton have been looking good. What are your thoughts on that, Rich?
I have Calvert-Lewin and I've kept him, and I'm not too worried about the fixtures. I think they're playing Arsenal tomorrow,
Yeah.
United, and then Chelsea. So those 3 teams, even though they're sort of traditional top 6 teams, they've all got quite vulnerable defences. So I think Calvert-Lewin could score in any of those games. So quite happy to have him, and he's fine. If you got him at 5.8, 5.9 million, or 6 million, it's great value for that. He's on very good form. And if you've got a player on very good form, just play him.
Yeah.
And don't worry about fixtures. Just play him.
I agree with that. Question from Bogdan. Rich, should we prepare for potential double game week 29? And if so, what team will play a double? So I believe it's Man City. I want to say Chelsea.
Well, it could, yeah. To explain this, and Ben Krellin, who does our planners, could probably explain it better than I can. But my understanding is that the team that Man City potentially play twice in 29 depends on the Europa League results. So if Arsenal lose in the Europa League to Olympiacos, and they're currently winning after one leg, then there's a higher likelihood that the Arsenal City game will move into game week 29.
Right.
Um, if Arsenal progress in the Europa League, there's less chance of that happening, and there's more of a likelihood that the Chelsea Man City game will be shifted into that game week. Now, all this is conjecture at the moment. It's people wondering whether, just because City are in so many competitions, that they have very few free midweeks between now and the end of the season. So that week represents one of the three options for them to play another game. So it could happen or it could not. There might be no blank in 29, and we won't know until after game week 28. So I wouldn't really do any planning. I'd just maybe go into 29 with 2 transfers. Wait for the FA Cup matches to be played as well, because you've then also got to make a plan for game week 31 off the back of the FA Cup results. So it really is a question of patience, I would say, and just waiting for those cup matches and Europa League matches to conclude, and then you will get more information.
Thank you, Rich. Some true expert advice there from the main man. Andrew Ferguson's team so he's got Pope, Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Lascelles, Stevens, Traore, Salah, Barnes, Vardy, Ings, and Jimenez. That's my starting 11 for next week. Very, very nice. Better than mine.
Very nice. Very well planned.
It's a lovely team that I'll do for next week. And I'm just thinking of my team then for 31. I haven't really got a chip strategy as such. Every time I have a strategy, it always seems to backfire on me, and I take out single game week players who brace and all this sort of thing. So I'm kind of playing it by ear a little bit, but I am going to probably look to save next week. Just get 11 out, go into 29 with the 2, because if there is a double, obviously you're going to want to try and maximise that, and then try and transfer in to make sure I've got 31. What I might try and do then is use my free hit and bench boost, etc. excuse me, later on in the season, but not over plan for it. I find that when you kind of over plan and you've got your moves 3 or 4 weeks in advance, I think that's when people tend to get in a bit of a knot, especially as we know, things don't generally go to plan, particularly this season. But yeah, just been news. Lascelles has been booked for Newcastle. Caution of bringing down Zaha 35 yards from goal. Rich, question from Rudcash: would you sell Martial for Bernardo? I'm not sure I would.
No, I wouldn't, because Martial is same sort of price. I think Martial's 0.2 cheaper, something like that. Martial's playing up front. He's really going to be selected, barring any disasters, to play that position for United for the rest of the season. They're not going to start a Gallo over him or Greenwood. So no, I'd keep Martial. Martial's a good. If you've got him in your side, he's a hold for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Samatta had the ball in the net for Villa, offside. It didn't go to VAR, but yeah, and apparently Ward-Prowse is playing at left back for Southampton. So I know he was injured, wasn't he? He had a knock.
Villa have equalised, mate. I think
Villa have equalised. Or is
maybe that's the matter. Maybe that's the
Samatta. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, bud.
We'll have a look. No, it's fine. We'll have a look now. It just came up on Villa's Twitter, just to say that it wasn't allowed. So unless it's another chance, we will see now. I don't think so. I can't see anything since. So maybe it was that. But yeah, Samatta, I know Adam likes Samatta, doesn't he? He said he looks like a really nice player, the kind of player that Villa need to try and get them out of trouble, but they do need something today from this game, otherwise it's not looking good for them. Bournemouth just trying to fight back in their game against Burnley. They seem to have had a mini revival, Rich, over a couple of weeks, but seem to have slumped off a little bit again. Do you think Howe could be in trouble soon, even if they don't get relegated? He should have if they would be.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think his job's pretty safe. He possibly might leave. He's one of these players that's always talked about when there's a managerial opportunity coming up. So he may move on this summer. Probably reach the point where he's done all he can at Bournemouth, I think.
Okay.
But I don't have a strong view. I think he'll be there next season. He's very loyal, isn't he, Eddie Howe?
Yes.
Nice to see.
Yeah. So one of the topics for this week, Rich, which everyone has been talking about. Sorry for bombarding you with questions, but obviously the only one I can bombard today, making you think today. Son replacements has been one of the big talking points this week. What have been your thoughts? I know you didn't have Son, but if you did, who are the kind of midfielders in that range who you think could be a really, really good shot? I know we've mentioned Harvey Barnes and Bruno.
That's a real tough question. I mean, there isn't a great deal of alternatives. So assuming most people have one of Salah and Mane plus De Bruyne in their team, I think if you were thinking of shipping De Bruyne, and some people were, I think Son's absence makes that a no-go. I think you keep De Bruyne now because if you've got Son in your team, then you probably got him in after Mane got injured. Therefore, I would probably go down the price brackets rather than up. There isn't a great deal of other options around there, so I probably wouldn't worry about going down to a Harvey Barnes or a Traore or one of these players that that has good fixtures over the coming weeks. Gives you a lot of money to reorganise elsewhere. So if you made the move from Son to Barnes or Son to Traore, this gives you 4 million to potentially upgrade Jimenez to Aguero or one of your strikers to Aguero if City get a double game week. So it just gives you flexibility. So I would not try and at the moment get a premium midfielder for Son. I'd get a cheaper one and then bank the money.
I think you're right there. Just a quick update from Burnley. So Francis booked for a lunge from on Vidra. Christopher Telles just on that, Rich. He says Richarlison could be a good replacement for Son in his form. So we did have FPL Jossie on the podcast on Monday night, and his move this week. I'm not sure if he took out Son, but he definitely brought in Richarlison, didn't he? So he really fancied Richarlison. He's definitely going form over fixtures there. And question from D Venkat. I'll take this one, Rich, to save you. Replacements for... Oh, blimey, this is a hell of a question. Replacements for Fleck, Lundstrom, KDB and Mahrez. Any...
Just hang on a minute, Andy. There's a goal.
There's a goal.
Palace have finally gone one up against Newcastle.
They've been knocking on the door, hadn't they?
Yeah.
Do we know who yet, or...?
Let me see if I can find out.
Apparently it's a Van Aanholt free kick.
A Van Aanholt special. He's been due, hasn't he?
He has been due. And we mentioned him at the start, didn't we? He's got the second most goals in the league since August 2016. Only one behind Alonso now. I do remember with Van Aanholt as well. He always seems to do well towards the end of the season. I think he scored in Gameweek 38, either last year or the year before, or even in both. But yeah, he's very attacking, isn't he, Van Aanholt? I don't know if we've got an assist, but that Newcastle.
I'll be back to you.
Yeah, you're fine. That Newcastle clean sheet has gone. So anyone who went with Fernandes,
or Dubravka, he's lost his clean sheet.
That's Dubravka or Fernandes or Lascelles or anyone else that has gone. Van Aanholt. Update from the Burnley game. So McNeil forces a sprawling save from Ramsdale with an effort from distance. He seems to have gone quiet, McNeil. He looks a very, very tidy player.
Jordan Ayew with the assist, apparently.
Jordan Ayew.
Yeah, he's reasonably owned, isn't he, as a third striker for people. Probably got brought down for the free kick, I would imagine.
Yes, he would have. Apparently, it's a bit of a screamer as well by Van Aanholt, so that will be interesting to watch later on Match of the Day. We're into injury time at Villa, so 4 minutes of stoppage time with Southampton and Villa in this first half. Southampton still leading 1-0 through an early Shane Long goal. Yes, it's been confirmed on FPL Twitter. Van Aanholt and Jordan AU with the assist there.
And I think, mate, I'll keep an eye on the scores.
So replacements for Fleck, Lundstrom, KDB, and Mara. I suppose the first thing I would say. So I've got De Bruyne. I'm really torn on whether to keep him or not. So I've used my wild card already, and De Bruyne's that kind of player who, if you get rid of him, you're always going to want him back. So City's fixtures turn. So after 28 and 29, I think they turn. And they've got a nice run in for the season. Obviously, all depends what happens with the Champions League and things like this. But De Bruyne, I'm still. I think if you've got Mane and Salah, as I have, I think you could get rid of De Bruyne, and then you can obviously always swap Salah or Mane to get him back, unless you've got your second wild card. But I think the thing with getting rid of De Bruyne, he's the best player in the league, right? He's on everything. He just proves it. Goals, assists, hoovers the bonus whenever he returns. He gets a bonus. So on him, I'd be tempted to keep Fleck, Lundstrom, and Mahrez. I think I would look to get rid. So for Lundstrom, Bolly I think is run about the same price, maybe 0.1 or 2. So maybe Bolly for him. Fleck maybe a bit of a tougher one because he's 5 million. But if you are saving money elsewhere, you could upgrade Fleck to some of the players we mentioned earlier.
I agree with you there, Andy. I think the more we talk about it, Fleck's probably the guy I'm going to lose next week. I think there's still. I think this week Lundstrom not starting for the 4th time. I think it probably confirms that although most people got him at 4 million and he's okay as third bench for 4 million, you want players that are playing, and if you've got £500,000 profit in him, sell him for Bolly, I would say now, or sell him for someone of a similar value who is going to start and bring you more than one. It's the danger of him coming on for 1 point that I wouldn't want. And last week was very fortunate, and you have to remember that you won't come on and score every week. So
I kept him this week, but I didn't. I kept him as I did last week, fully in the knowledge that he may get benched. I did think he'd probably earned a start, in all honesty, which he.
I thought he
haven't. And obviously getting a goal off the bench is incredibly fortunate. But in the position I'm in and the rank I'm in, then I just I decided it was worth a shot because if he does start Lundstrom, he's got a better shout than most, of a real haul, because if he does get the goal as well and the clean sheet, 15.
Yeah, exactly. That was what his appeal was, wasn't he? He was an attacker that gets clean sheets, and now he's not starting. It's more like a budget midfielder, who doesn't start. So that's not quite as appealing.
No, agree. Apparently, Lionel Messi has got a first half hat trick for Barcelona. Just so we know.
Well, maybe he's not coming next season after all. Then
he's not a bad player, is he?
I'd love to see him in the Premier League. Yeah. It'd be great, wouldn't
it? Question off Ahmed F. Rich. Good mid options under 6. I'm gonna have to have a look at this one. Also, I'm gonna have to have a look at the midfield options under 6. Any jump out with you, Rich? I was raving about Fleck a couple of weeks ago, and Adam said
Traore is still a good option. Very good option. Yeah, I think is Decore still under 6? Maybe he's just over 6. Watford player.
Yeah, he's around 6.
Again, I'm thinking about Gameweek 31 here a little bit. There are 2. Harvey Barnes is bang on 6, I think. So if you can stretch to that, if I was going to buy one, I would buy Harvey Barnes right now. Scored in 3 of the last 4, I think. Worth watching him this evening, see how he gets on against City. But if you're moving away from Vardy, then he's good at attacking cover. And I think, Iosi Perez is probably coming back on people's radars a bit as well. But Barnes seems to be more secure starter at the moment.
In terms of the fixtures for the next six game weeks, Newcastle have got the best fixtures of the next 6, so they've got Burnley, Southampton, Sheffield United, Villa, Bournemouth, and West Ham. So this is why I kind of brought in Hayden, because I think I brought him off the back of back-to-back assists a few weeks ago. He was only 4.3. Since then, he seems to have lost his place, but we will see if you can get that back. Second in the fixture ticker is Leicester. So, we just talked about Barnes. Norwich, Villa, Watford, Brighton, Everton and Palace. So they've got a very, very nice run of games coming up, Leicester. Wolves got Tottenham, but then they've got Brighton, West Ham, Bournemouth, Villa and Arsenal. So that Wolves run, so you mentioned Traore. He could be a good shout. Southampton have got West Ham, Newcastle, Norwich, Arsenal, Watford and Man City. So Southampton's next 5 in particular are very, very nice. So maybe keep a lookout for any cheap Southampton midfielders. Arsenal's next, so even though they blank after that, they've got West Ham, Brighton, Southampton and Norwich, and then Wolves. And then Norwich themselves. So, we are kind of looking at that Newcastle, who do look woeful in all fairness at the moment. That Leicester, Wolves.
It's not that. I mean, the thing is, it's we're talking about probably that that 5th, maybe 4th midfielder position. It's not really something you want to mess with that much, is it? If you can avoid it, you want to be looking at other positions, because that position is often benchable, or you put him on the bench. So if you've got a Todd Cantwell that you got for 4.5, or something, there's nothing wrong with keeping him, because he's going to probably sit first bench or second bench and come on for you when there's a bit of rotation or something. So it's not essential to swap that position out, but next week's probably the opportunity to do it because of the blank.
Yeah, agree. Question for you, Rich, because this is a Chelsea question. Do you think Alonso will start playing regular football at Chelsea?
He's done himself no harm this afternoon, has he? He had almost scored a cracking free kick towards the end. I think the answer is yes. He's going to play more now in the next few weeks, but I don't know. It's his first start, I think, since he played Tottenham around Christmas time. So a bit early to say he's nailed, but I think he's going to play more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Question from Ben Bishop. So he currently has Stevens, TAA, Soyuncu, Bolly and Lundstrom. I want to get rid of the Lord. Who do you suggest? 4.7 million budget.
Let me think about that one.
Yeah, you'll have to have a think, because you've actually got most of the bases.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably all right just putting the Lord on third bench and you keeping your transfer. I suppose nothing wrong with that defence.
Yeah, and if you brought him in early for anything under 4.2 or 4.3 million, as you say, just stick him on your bench, because you're not losing anything. And then if he does actually manage to get back in the team, Sheffield United's fixtures, they got Norwich in 29, then Newcastle. They have got United and Spurs after that. Then they got Burnley. So if he does manage to get back in the team, if he gets back in the team, then Lundstrom everyone's going to want him back because of that threat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in a few weeks time, when we know what's happening with the doubles and 31, etc. Brandon Williams is potentially a shout. He seems to be starting in midfield all the time for United now. 4.1. It's actually an opportunity to save a bit of cash. So he could be worth it. As Andrew said, when the United fixtures pick up for the run-in, if he's still getting starts,
good shout.
He's worth it.
And he's playing in midfield as well.
Exactly. He's a Lundstrom, isn't he? He's Lundstrom for the run-in.
Yeah. Notorious nerd. Is Lundstrom in yet to score the winner? I'm pretty sure that we'll be. Well, I say that. What's the score? 1-1. So I reckon we'll see Lundstrom in around.
It's primed to happen again, isn't it?
He'll come on in the 61st
Especially
minute.
After what I said, saying we were better off without him.
He'll come on in the 61st minute and he will score the winner in the 77th minute. You heard it here first. I'm hoping anyway because he's in my team. Simon Hull, Rich. So what fixtures do you think will be in 31? So obviously we're calling these.
I've been putting. I wrote a big article on this on the Hub this week on the various permutations, and thanks again to Ben Crellin for doing the graphics. Yeah. I think if you've got one thing I'm looking at is obviously if you've got any Everton, Norwich, Villa, or Newcastle players in your team, I would hold those for at least one more week, because one of those or two of those four teams are going to have a game in game week 31, because there's a cup match between Tottenham and Norwich, and I think if I get this right, the winner of that cup match will not have a match. Is that right, Andrew? I think I've got the logic right. But anyway, you're going to have. So I've got Grealish and Calvert-Lewin. One of those is going to get a game in 31. So I wouldn't sell them because I've got a 50% chance. I just need to know which one to keep. So I think those are the two most likely fixtures. Newcastle, Villa, and Norwich and Everton are about a 50% likelihood of happening. The other ones are all where Premier League teams play what I would describe as fairly minor opposition and should get through. I think the West Brom, who are leading the Championship, play Newcastle, and they could quite conceivably turn Newcastle over. So therefore, Newcastle probably likely to get a game against Villa, and the other game is the Everton Norwich game is more likely, assuming Spurs do beat Norwich at home. But those are the games I would think are most likely, in addition to the two that have already been confirmed. The big one that is pivotal is if Chelsea manage to beat Liverpool. That's the one everyone should keep an eye on, because if Chelsea do, remember Chelsea are at home. If they knock Liverpool out of the cup, then Liverpool will have a game in 31. And all of a sudden, everyone can start taking a look at their teams and going, I've got 7 or 8 players here. Because if you've got a few Wolves and you've got 3 Liverpool and a couple of others, you've got three or four transfers between now and game week 31. So you can actually almost or definitely get a side out, in which case the advice will be don't use your free hit. Keep it for the double game weeks when it's going to be much more powerful.
Thank you, Rich. Again,
sorry, long answer.
No, it's brilliant. It's really, really good expert advice. I'm glad you're on, because I couldn't have answered it in that in that kind of level of detail. But as Rich said, if anyone are Hub members who's listening, so members of Fantasy Football Hub, Rich put his articles where he does it shouldn't happen to a vet article roughly every month or two, Rich.
Right about every sort of 4 or 5 game weeks, just to take a bit.
But it's one of the best articles on the Hub. He runs through everything, as a strategic look at the next month or two. So if you are Hub members, go and read that. If you're not a Hub member, you can go and read it now, free for 7 days. So we've got a 7-day trial. It's just flicking up in the top right hand corner. The 7-day trial link is in the description as well, so it's well worth it. Go and have a look what we've got on the Hub, because you will never need to go anywhere else. It's truly fantastic. Question from where do we get down to? Notorious Nerd: should I get rid of Kelly or Rico for James or Evans? Okay, so I have to think then. James or Evans, Reece James.
I would definitely get rid of Kelly because he's injured and he's unlikely to get his place back once he's recovered. Rico could be one of those players you keep third on your bench for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you find he's got a game in game week 31, so he becomes very useful for that game week. But Rico, as I say, was dropped today. He's not playing, so he could well be a candidate. I wouldn't get rid of him until he's definitely not going to start. But just because he has a chance of having a game in 31.
And I suppose in terms of Evans, I suppose if you think Leicester can turn it around, so they've been pretty awful the last month or two. But as we just said, their next 6 fixtures: Norwich, Villa, Watford, Brighton, Everton and Palace. They're a really, really nice run of fixtures. If you think Leicester can turn it around, Evans is probably a good shout. Reece James, really nice player, very attacking. The only thing with Reece James is that Chelsea just always seem to concede. They haven't kept many clean sheets this season, have they, Rich? So they always seem to find a way to concede.
No, they don't. Again, this is why I'm not worried about having Everton players playing against Chelsea, because they've only kept about 4 clean sheets in the whole season. They're not doing very well defensively.
More news from Bogdan. So in other news, Haaland just scored again. I saw some I haven't got the stats to hand, but I saw some stats in the week. It was I think it was off Gary Lineker's tweet. I don't know if you saw it at all, Rich, but this guy's stats, his Haaland stats, are just, are just insane. He's only 19. He looks the real deal. And I also saw a stat in the week that he ran 60 meters in something like 6.6 seconds in one of the games in the week. And the world 60-meter record is like 6.3 seconds. So I don't know if you managed to see it, but it's insane to watch. He looks.
Is it Borussia? Is it Dortmund he plays for?
Dortmund, yeah. So he scored a couple midweek. He scored 2 on Tuesday night, and his second goal, I think it was his second goal, took it in his stride, left foot, edge of the box, top corner. What a player he looks. But yeah. James Conroy, watch the mighty Pompey turn Arsenal over. Indeed, this FA
Indeed,
Cup
that will set the cat amongst the pigeons, won't it?
It will.
Well, that's what there's going to be. There will be a shock result out of all those games. It could be Chelsea, not Liverpool out. It could be West Brom. It could be Birmingham beating Leicester. It always happens in the FA Cup. You never get everything being totally predictable, which is why it's just so useful to wait, and the other thing to know that people may not know is there's no replays in this round of the Cup, so you will get an actual definitive result in the midweek of those games. So on that, I think it's most of them playing on the Wednesday of that week. You'll know all of a sudden all this information will fall into place for game week 31, and you can then say, okay, right, great, well now I know what I'm doing. Game week 29 is, possibly not confirmed or possibly just a normal week. You can start to plan your transfers and your chip strategy beyond that. That's very powerful. If it's all predictable, then there's nothing wrong with using the free hit in 31 if there's only 3 or 4 fixtures. But I agree. We just don't know.
Is it worth it, Rich, using a free hit in 31 though, if you're going to be basically loading your team up with? I won't be harsh and say junk, but obviously Wolves have got a nice game. But would you want to load up on teams from lesser teams? And you look at your 11, you think, what the hell am I doing here? Is it worth just waiting for a better opportunity in a double or elsewhere?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, possibly. You might get people just thinking, okay, look, I can get 7 or 8 players out in game week 31. I'm not going to even take hits. I'm just going to get through this game week with 3 Wolves players. And who else is at home? Like Burnley, is it?
I think it's Pope Burnley,
get Pope in, get a Burnley striker, and just be done with it. That is, there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel, I think I would definitely be wanting to do that if I've already used my wild card. I think if you've got your wild card left for use after that, it's less of a worry using the free hit. If you've already used your wild card, though, you definitely want to save your free hit for the doubles.
Just hearing that Ender Stevens has gone off injured.
Oh.
Which is actually Wilson NG has put it on the chat as well. So that is interesting because that's not good. He's got look, it's on the official Premier League Twitter. Ben Osborne replaces goal scorer Ender Stevens.
That's unfortunate, but I guess that makes it, if you do have him, that makes your transfer for game week 28 nice and easy.
If he's injured for a while, yeah, definitely. That is a real shame for his owners. But at least he's got you the points. Points in the bag already. So it looks like the games have all started again.
Yeah.
Just a quick look if anything's going on. Don't believe
any substitutions at half time.
It just looks like that one Ender Stevens one at the moment. Just have a quick look. Yeah, there's nothing else happened at the moment. James Harding, listening to the stream while making a lasagna. Who said men can't multitask? Indeed.
Excellent.
Who did say
that's
that?
Great. Well, I'm glad we're providing some entertainment during your your culinary session.
I can't multitask. I had to post something. It was a month or two ago now, but it was when we were waiting for news. I think Lundstrom was in the early kickoff. I think and we were waiting for FPL Rockstar to confirm whether he was starting or not. And I put my sausages on for breakfast around 11:15. And I was, refreshing, turning the sausages, refreshing. And as it happened, we had something through us from like 11:24, 11:25. And I was busy messing with my team. I burnt my sausages. So I can't multitask, James. I hope you don't burn your lasagna. But my sausages. Some really exhilarating chat here on the FPL Saturday Live by Fantasy Football Hub. Just another plug for the Hub. If anyone hasn't been on to Fantasy Football Hub, the website, you can get a 7-day trial below in the description. We promise you will not be disappointed. Everything up to stats, comparison tools, fixture ticker, team planner, team reveals. So you have players like Rich, you have players like Matthew Jones, FPL Heisenberg, Dan Cox for Sky. If anyone plays Sky, so much stuff for on there for Sky as well now. It's really, really good. So we got a lot of really successful managers on there. John, he says his connection keeps being interrupted, or is it buffering? I do fear it's probably the internet connection in my attic. I do apologise, everyone. I was going to stay downstairs where I was, but I have moved up into the attic. I bought a Wi-Fi booster, but it arrived 15 minutes before we went live, so I didn't actually have a chance to plug it in. But for the future, we will absolutely get this nailed and make sure that everything works well in future. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. If the sound's a bit laggy, if the pitch's a bit laggy, I'm actually surprised how well it's turned out. But yeah. Or it could be wind, maybe, John. Bogdan, do we think it's fair that Lo Celso should be suspended after VAR admitted via BT Sport there was a red card? What a fantastic question. Probably one we've never had in the history of football before. So just for all those who haven't heard, so Lo Celso did a challenge earlier in the Chelsea Spurs game. VAR looked at it, said it wasn't a red card, and then 25 minutes later, they actually said he should have been sent off. So from a retrospective view, my thoughts on what will happen would be no, because the decision was actually made, and he wasn't given a red card. It went to VAR. They said no. Surely you can't retrospectively go back again and do it again. That's my thoughts. Rich, how about you? Any kind of thoughts?
Well,
on
I missed the incident. Right. I was actually getting a shower, so I missed the challenge. But by all accounts, pretty much everyone agreed it should have been a red.
Yeah.
So I think there probably will be retrospective action, and he'll get a suspension. I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
that would be absolutely mad. But it's sad for VAR, because I do think it seems to have improved over the last month or so. We don't seem to be having so many, niggles and things with it. But it is a shame, and I'm very surprised that they actually admitted it.
Maybe
while the game was going on.
Maybe because they've admitted it so publicly, there's no precedent been set, and they won't be allowed to retrospectively suspend him because it's not necessarily in the referee's report or something. I'm not an expert on this.
Burnley goal, Rich. Sound like Vidra. Burnley goal.
Vidra. So 3 minutes. Yeah.
His first start in about 18 months, and he's got the goal. So not sure who's got the assist yet. Let's have a quick look, see if we can see who's got the assist. But goal for Burnley. Is it coming up? It's not coming up yet. Apologies all. It's not coming up yet. Dwight McNeil, who he said, I said earlier, actually, really, really nice player, young player. Had a bit of a stormer last year. It's been a bit quiet this year, but he looks a really good player. So goal for Burnley against Bournemouth. So Bournemouth's woes continue there. They look to be in real trouble. Bournemouth 2 at the moment.
Yeah, Burnley are picking up, aren't they? Their form's picking up.
Yeah.
They're starting getting clean sheets again. You know, we all ran away from Nick Pope. Pope could be a good shout over the next few weeks if you don't know what to do with the transfer between now and 31. Certainly, like me, if you're looking, I'm desperate to get rid of Ryan.
I'm not surprised.
Go back to Pope. So, yeah, they look good. They look like they've sorted themselves out and they've started to win again. And they have a go when they're away from home as well. So not a bad shout.
Apologies, Patrick Saba. We missed his question earlier up. Should we use free hit in Gameweek 31? So we sort of touched on this a couple of times, Patrick, and what we've decided is we need to wait until the FA Cup games have been played and we know the results. So all the results will be in by the Wednesday night, and according to Ben Crellin, we should know on the Thursday or the Friday then. So our advice is to probably wait. Probably wait until the FA Cup has done. Save a transfer or two back if you can over the next week or so. But probably no, I would say, would be the right answer. Question from Notorious Nerd. Who is the best Burnley defensive asset? So I think, Rich, you just kind of bigged up Pope then. Is there anyone else from a Burnley defensive?
I think Charlie Taylor is a good cheap option. I think he's 4-1, 4-2, something like that. Yeah, not quite at the 4-0 level, but he's a good, again, another cheap, could be a good Lundstrom replacement, free up a bit of cash. Charlie Taylor would be my shout, just purely on value.
So we seem to have lost the middle part of the screen. I will try and get that back. Apologies, guys. Not sure what's happened there. There she is. Yeah, the overall average at the moment, Rich, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's gone blank.
Very woeful.
It was about 4 points, wasn't it? A little while ago.
It's still 4. Obviously, the clean sheets haven't kicked in yet. They will kick in the next 2 to 3 minutes, though there's not a lot of clean sheets either. So, we
got Southampton, probably quite a few people on a Southampton.
Yeah, maybe Stevens, McCarthy.
Yeah.
Palace, not sure what you would have. Palace and Burnley.
It's gone back now, 4.16 in the top 10k, 4.02 overall. Yeah, very few points around so far.
Yeah. Message from Paul McNulty. Hi there, Paul. So Paul is on the Sky podcast with myself and Dan Cox on a Sunday evening. Stevens owner in FPL. Well done for that, Paul. Pity Dan didn't suggest an opening moaning suggestion for tomorrow's Sky pod. Absolutely, yeah. So, we're doing. So for anyone who is playing Sky, we do a live stream of our Sky and TFF channel on a Sunday evening at 8 o'clock with myself, Dan Cox, and Paul McNulty.
Bournemouth have equalised, Andrew. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Bournemouth have equalised. So after all that,
Harry Wilson.
So that Burnley clean sheet has gone then.
Burnley clean sheet has gone
already.
It's not VAR'd out, which
wow.
you have to caveat every goal with these days. But
yeah,
only Palace and Southampton now are sitting on clean sheets. So,
and it's Harry Wilson.
I'll be back to you with the assist as soon as I know it.
Okay. Another question from Patrick Saba. Do you think Aguero will play both games in double 29 if it happens? Patrick, I think it's impossible to say if he will or not. I would suggest not.
I would think given the I think City's second Champions League game, if that is in the the immediate week following the double, I would say it's very unlikely Aguero will play all 3 of those games. So agreed. Jesus is likely to be. Bournemouth goal's been chalked off by VAR again. Sorry, guys. It was Callum Wilson with the assist to Harry Wilson, but VAR have just chalked it off.
My goodness.
So Burnley clean sheet lives again, everybody.
That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And it looks like a penalty to Burnley now. I don't know if that's right.
Oh, I don't know. It's certainly an incident-packed.
My goodness. Oh, I tell you what I think has happened. Well, I'm not sure, but I just read, right, that Burnley thought that they'd had a penalty. It wasn't given, and Bournemouth went up the pitch and scored. And now Burnley have a penalty. So I wonder whether they've
Oh, it's
actually
a
brought it back.
retrospective penalty award, and therefore the goal does not count because of the penalty. They're going back to the previous incident. Yeah, that looks what it is, and it's in the
That is
59th minute as well.
that is
There's all
unbelievable
sorts
if
of
that is
stuff
the
going on.
case.
Yeah, this is what's happening. So they are going back to the penalty. Matt Letizia is telling people what's happening, but I can't hear him.
So we're saying that Wilson adjudged to have handled McNeil's cross before the Cherries went up the pitch and equalised. So that is
Wow, VAR is really interfering, isn't it?
that is bonkers. My God.
With the flow of football. Oh, I hope they make some changes next season. It's not going to go away, is it? But I do hope they dumb it down a bit. I really do, just personally.
Wow. Okay. So while we wait for the penalty then for Burnley, question from Veal. I'm having 5 players have a blank on 28. Should I consider taking hits or play the game week with 8 or 9 players? So I suppose it depends who you've got, Veal, and what your team is moving forward. Penn scored. Burnley have scored a penalty apparently. So we will get that now.
Jay Rodriguez with a penalty.
J Rodriguez. We'll just update that.
Yeah, well done. So, yeah, I've got thoughts on that. I mean, the thing you've got to think about in a blank game week, just the same as a double game week, is that hits are cheap. So, if you take a hit, you're effectively, that your player in that slot. Let's say you had 10 players. Your player in that slot, 11th slot, is getting no points if you don't take a hit. If you take a hit, you get at least 2 points, or you should imagine you're going to get at least 2 points. Plus, you've obviously got a chance of more points. So effectively, they're half-price hits. So it isn't too bad to take a hit, but make sure that the player you're bringing in potentially, also has a game in game week 31, because then he's effectively free because he's coming in when you also have a blank in 31. So as long as you pick the right player from the right team, you're effectively paying for that hit. So and again, it's not disastrous to go with 8 or 9, just as long as there are players around that are effective enough to score goals and get assists. So those are my views. I don't mind taking hits in blank and double game weeks so much.
I think it does depend, though. I think the caveat I would add to that is depends how your team is looking moving forward as well. I suppose you don't just want to take hits just to fill your 11 for the one game week. I think you need to think forward as well. So I don't know if you've got your wild card in hand, if you've got your free hit in hand or whatever. But I would if you're it depends how your team is looking for 29, 30 and 31 as well. But you've got to make there. Stephen Ingram, Rodriguez possibly on penalties for game week 31 is interesting. You're right there, if he can keep his place. So is he? I'm assuming he's playing because Wood is injured. Is that?
Yeah,
is that right?
Well, he's definitely playing. Ashley Barnes is not always playing either at the moment, is he? So I think Wood was out today. But Rodriguez is decent player, isn't he?
He is. He's always happy wherever he's gone, haven't he? Yeah. Andrew Ferguson, well, that must be a first. Bournemouth but be gutted. Absolutely, that is unreal. That is from the euphoria of equalising at 1-1 to go in 2-0 down in a couple of minutes is absolutely.
I think there was a game a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when Watford got promoted with an incident like that, wasn't there, from the Championship? Do you remember that? When
no, I don't.
They had a penalty denied themselves, and then they ran up the end.
Oh no, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah? It sounds a bit like that, I mean, it's delirium at one end and dejection at the other. It was really quite something.
I think there was one in it was either a lower league match or a Scottish game 2 years ago, last game of the season, and it was something like the 94th minute, and they needed to score a penalty to win, and they crashed it against a crossbar, a team went over the other end and scored to, like, for them to go up or something along those lines. Absolutely crazy.
Swings of fortune.
It's football. You can't make it up, can you?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Right, we're getting into the substitution zone, aren't we? 64 minutes gone in the.
Where's Lundstrom? That's my question. Where is Lundstrom?
I was going to say, where is Lundstrom? Yeah, but no sign of him yet. I'll just check the games to see if there's been any subs for people.
Yeah, just checking now if there's been any subs. Can't see any. I can't see.
Yeah, there's been both. Villa have bought on Conor Hurricane for Consa in the 60th minute. So
okay,
he'd just been booked Consa.
So the average has just jumped up as the clean sheets take hold. So the average in the top 10k at the moment is 9.28. The average overall is 6.66. So you would imagine that Pope, it probably accounts for a lot of that big jump there. I'm trying to think of any highly owned players for Palace defence or Southampton. Well, obviously, Stevens, McCarthy.
Might still be a few with Guayata. You had Guayata, didn't you, around Christmas time?
Yeah, I had him for a while for his run. He did well, but no. Ben Bishop, I have Henderson and McCarthy, so same as me here, Ben. Am I right that both will blank in 31? Who would you suggest as a replacement, or just not have goalkeeper that week? So I'm in exactly the same boat, so you are right. So I may need Rich to step in on McCarthy, but I know Henderson blanks because Sheffield United have got Man United, who is Henderson's parent club, so he's definitely not playing in 31. Rich, for McCarthy, I don't think he's playing. Is that right in 31? Do you know off the top of your head?
Southampton, I think he's got a chance of a game in 31, but there's got to be some sort of big defeat against a small team for Southampton's opponent there. I'll check, but
I'll have a look now.
Yeah, it's very unlikely Southampton are going to have a game in 31.
So it's 31. Southampton are playing Arsenal, so it's that Arsenal and Portsmouth game.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're
mentioned
the
earlier,
listener here with who called out the Pompey win, if he's right, then they'll get a game. But
yeah, so his question is, and this is the same for me as well, I suppose. Would you suggest as a replacement or just not have goalkeeper that week? So I suppose we've already talked about Pope. I don't really like using transfers on goalkeepers, especially for 1 week. Especially if we just look for today as an example. Sheffield United, Henderson, so he's conceded. I hope that Brighton, he's probably going to get a couple of points, may get 3 max. I personally, even if your keeper keeps a clean sheet and gets 6 or 7 points with a bonus point, I'm not really sure it's worth a transfer. That's just a personal preference, so I probably won't look to bring in a keeper unless I have nothing else to do, which if the double game week 29 happens, I can't see myself having nothing to do. But obviously, all depends on FA Cup results and things. But hope that answers Ben. But it's obviously up to you. Up to you what you do with that. Notorious Nerd, is this the end of Grealish and Villa? Rich, do you have Grealish?
I do have Grealish. His fixtures aren't. This is his last decent fixture for a while, and it doesn't look like they're going to do anything. He's possibly someone to sell, but I'll probably hang on to him because he's got a 50-50 chance of a game in 31, and it just he is like, it's a bit like De Bruyne. He's one of the sort of, he's probably going to get in the team of the season, isn't he? If you were to put one together, so if you just take away the fixtures, is really he's going to continue to get returns. However, it's not the worst week to sell him, I would say, in 28 because of the not having a game and then having 2 tough games immediately afterwards. I can't remember exactly who he's got.
They've got Leicester and Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got 2 tough games to follow that. You could be looking at 3 or 4 weeks there without any returns from Grealish. So it's not a bad shout to sell him if you need to get rid of someone.
And then after that, they've got Newcastle away. Then they've got Wolves and Liverpool. So they're bottom of the fixture ticket in the whole league for the next
Yeah,
6 weeks in terms of fixtures. So he's a fabulous player, but FPL is not about who is the best footballer. It's about who's going to score you the points.
yeah.
Noah Fairbrother, he's having a bit of a panic here. So what about Villa? What about Southampton? Keep Ings or no? Please help. Who could I replace him with? I would keep Ings. So Southampton's fixtures, they've got West Ham next week, then Newcastle, Norwich, Arsenal and Watford. I see no reason to sell Ings whatsoever.
Compare it to the previous questioner, who was talking about Villa's fixes, like you called them out, no brainer, get rid of Grealish.
Yeah, exactly. So every time Ings scores, which, okay, he's only scored one, I think his last three now, but every time Ings scores, he tends to get 2 to 3 bonus points. Really good player on penalties and everything else. There we go, Noah. Glad. Hope we've answered there. And thank you, John Tyner, for backing that up as well. Notorious Nerd, who is the best pick from Leicester, Barnes or Perez or Maddison? Maddison's been a bit of a strange one because he was having a really good season, wasn't he? Both as a footballer and as an FPL asset, seems to have fallen off a cliff at the moment. In terms of Barnes or Perez, I personally think that Perez is quite a good shout. I think he'd be low owned. He tends to score his points in bursts as well, so he tends to, he won't do much, but then he'll get a brace, and then he'll blank for a week, and then he'll, I think he's got a hat. Yeah, he's got a hat trick, didn't he, in the Southampton game as well? But I think that depends on what you're looking at. So I think Barnes is a really good pick, but his ownership is much higher than Perez. I'm saying this observationally. I haven't got the stats in front of me.
Yeah, I think Barnes of those three right now, the Maddison's higher priced and there's better value at the sort of high 7s, 8 million than Maddison.
Yeah.
I'd go for Barnes out of those three.
Okay. Have we got any more news on the football? So substitutions for
did a quick Lundstrom check and still no sign of him coming on. The Bournemouth have made a double substitution. Yeah, off, Gosling is off, Fraser and Stanislas are on.
Okay.
Bournemouth. Also, Newcastle have made a double substitution. Danny Rose is off, Almiron is off, and Ritchie and Dwight Gale are on.
Okay, so Newcastle trying to go for it, which may be dangerous potentially. The back. Erling Haaland has got he's got a 60% conversion rate in the Bundesliga, 15 shots, 9 goals, and he's got 40 goals this season in less than 2,000 minutes. Sorry to keep hopping off to Erling Haaland, but I'm not sure that we've seen a footballer like him. He looks an absolute animal, but anyway.
He'll be next season's €100 million player, won't he, somewhere for someone?
Yeah, definitely. Aston Villa, 70th minute. Samata turns nicely, gets a shot away, deflected over the bar. Looks like Villa trying to get back into that game against Southampton. Excuse me. Question from Noah. Is this team any good? McCarthy, Lundstrom, Baldock, TAA, Perez, Richarlison, Salah, KDB, DCL, Ings and Jimenez. Absolutely, Noah. That looks a really good team. We've just had the team news through for Leicester and Manchester City.
Yeah, I was just looking for that actually, yeah.
So if I read the Leicester team out, do you want to do the City
you go for it, mate. I'm still trying to catch it up.
Okay, so Leicester team to play Man City 5:30. So it's Schmeichel in goals, Ricardo Pereira at hang on. So it's looking like Evans, Soyuncu, and Fuchs. Oh, my Twitter's just refreshed. Chilwell and Ricardo Pereira. So it looks like a back five. Apologies, guys. My Twitter's just refreshed and I've lost the team. Pratt, Tielemans, Maddison, Iheanacho, and Vardy. So Perez not in the team, and neither is Barnes. and neither is Harvey Barnes.
Wow!
So we were just
After all
talking
that,
about
after all that, talking him up.
Perez and Barnes both on the bench along with
Probably
Albrighton.
three times this afternoon we've talked Barnes up, haven't we? And he's not been selected. There we are.
He's not there. And just to run through quickly the Man City game: Ederson, Walker, Laporte, Fernandinho, Mendy, Rodrigo, Gundogan, Mahrez, De Bruyne, Bernardo, and Aguero. So bench of Bravo, Stones, Jesus, Silva, Cancelo, Otamendi, and Foden. So pretty strong team from City. I probably think their strongest team, maybe Silva aside, really strong team. So Aguero owners will be happy that he's playing because after all the drama and heartache of the rearranged games and everything else, it looks like he's playing. Everyone thought, a lot of people thought that he would be rested for the Champions League and things, but he plays, as does De Bruyne, as does Mahrez. Think Mahrez owners were but unfortunate in the week, unless you got Lundstrom off your bench for him, but he didn't even get a minute, did he? So
no, indeed. Well, he's always one of those players that just sort of think he's going to play 60% of games. You think with Sterling out, he'd be nailed almost all the time, but that hasn't been the case, has it? So
a bit of a brave move playing Iheanacho and Vardy against Man City. Seems like a tactical change. It could be. Just hearing that Ings subbed off.
All right. Oh dear.
God, that's not good for Ings. Well, Ings owners, definitely Ings captainers.
Not good.
4-pointer for Ings. Just a quick one. Notorious Nerd. How likely is it City double game week in 29, and which opponents could they have? I think Ben Crellin was it. We said earlier, was it 40% chance?
Chelsea or Arsenal fixture will be moved to that week.
Yeah.
So we don't know which. It depends on the European Cup competitions. Don't know. We do not know.
I think from memory, I believe it was two teams in like the top 10. I don't think they had an easy game. I think one was Chelsea. Not too sure the other one. Andrew Ferguson, I'm not surprised Jesus is on the bench. Missed a few sitters. He did miss a few sitters in the West Ham game. Be interested to see what happens with Jesus, because surely it's only a matter of time before he's happy to sit on the bench. He's 22 now. I think when you're kind of 18 and 19 and you're the understudy, you can understand that. But 22 years old, he should be starting for someone. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him in the summer. Mark Byrne, how long is Sterling out? I believe it was 3 weeks, and that was a week or two ago. I think Pep said he's hoping to have it back for the Real Madrid game, which would be this coming week. So
he might thinking about it. He might, if he is back and playing again, he could be a great differential for 29 if they get a double, couldn't he?
He could be.
If you've got the money to move, say, that could be the week to move out of Mane to him or something like that. That could be a real nice switch.
That's right. So Ings is definitely off. So a 2-pointer for Ings, a 4-pointer if you captained in. Not a good risk. I don't know. He seems to fall off a cliff a little bit.
Jay Adams is on for him, and Obafemi is on for Shane Long.
Okay, so a complete switch of strikers there then.
Brighton have made a couple of subs. They've brought on Trossard and Connolly for Charlotto and Murray. So they've freshened things up, try and win the game. And also Billy Sharp's gone off for McGoldrick in that same match.
Lundstrom is still on the bench as well.
Still no Lundstrom, so you could be looking at your first bench, if probably very popular first bench option, or start with a start for people with a first bench. But no sign. They've only got one sub left. Sheffield United.
Apparently Ings was subbed off as well on the 60th minute, so we need to check that. 70 minutes. Sorry, I had misinformation. 70 minutes there. Yeah, Lundstrom is still not on, so Billy Sharp went off for McGoldrick. So they've used 2 of their 3 subs now. So it'll be very interesting. I'm just having a look who I've got first on my bench. I think I've gone for someone like Lascelles, so I've got nothing to cheer about if if Lundstrom does come on or not. I think I probably want him to come on, otherwise other people will get some kind of bench points off their dodgy 12th players. Static Stevens went off with a knock. We don't know any more at the moment, but Ben Dinnery said it was definitely a knock, which is not good. So the fact he's actually come off the pitch at half time probably means that he is actually injured. He does obviously have the blank next week anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So he may be back. He may be back for 29. Notorious Nerd. Hope no injury for Ings. Yeah, absolutely. It's very rare he comes off. So yeah, you're right there. Let's just have a look at the questions. Neil Fairbrother, as you know, I have Lundstrom, Baldock, and KDB. So how should I plan for blanks in 28? 2 free transfers. John's answering him. Thank you very much, John, doing our job for us. Brilliant. I wouldn't worry as long as you can get 11 out. That's most important probably in 28, but always have 31. Always have 31 in mind. Michael Svedin, is Schmeichel a good option if I want to change goalkeeper, or is he too expensive? Leicester seem to have been, I think they've only kept 2 clean sheets in the last 6 or 7 games, so I don't think he's a good option. I probably think he's too expensive anyway. They do have a really good run of fixtures coming up, but if I was to go for Leicester defensive assets, I would probably likely go to someone like Pereira, maybe Soyuncu, someone like that potentially. Even though they did sign, was it Bennett from Wolves? Rich did Leicester sign Bennett from Wolves?
I think so. Yeah.
And they said he's going to play.
Really showing much signs of appearing. They're very, very sort of consistent with their defensive selections. Leicester.
They are. Yeah, less.
So Schmeichel's not a bad pick, but I'd probably rather have the same sort of money one of the goal threat type defenders, or just hang on to Soyuncu. I think probably Pope's a better bet. You just got to look at the fixtures if you're going to change your keeper.
Big news. Lundstrom officially comes on for the final 10 minutes.
Is he? Oh my God. Do you know what? That makes me slightly nervous, Andrew. Can you imagine if he gets the winner again 2 weeks running? It's like, quite something, isn't it? But there he is for the 1 pointer, which again, if he doesn't score, will annoy people.
It's going to be a 7-pointer, mate, because he's going to get the goal now. He's going to get the winning goal.
Got 10 minutes to do it. Should we have a quick look at the bonuses?
Yes, Rich, please, if you don't mind.
Let me just run you through them. At the moment, we're looking at Pope on 29, McNeil on 28, Rodriguez on 28. They are the 3 best, and if those 2 end up tying, then Taylor will get 27. So they're all going to Burnley players there. In the Palace match, Van Arnholt is well in front, definitely sewn up the 3 points. Yeah. Scott Dan is on 28. Dubravka, the Newcastle keeper, is next, but could be edged out by Joel Ward. Ward is 1 point ahead actually at the moment on that one. On the Sheffield United game, Mope is out in front with 30. Webster, your other sale, Andy, is on 26. And then it's the injured Stevens who's just holding on to a bat. Oh, no, Duffy's on 21. So actually, Brighton are bossing the Baps away at Sheffield United at the moment. So nothing for the masses that own Sheffield United players there. And then in the Southampton game, Shane Long, not surprisingly, the only goal scorer, is out in front with 31. Gineppo is on 25 as we speak, and then it's pretty close between the Southampton defenders, Bednarek, McCarthy, and Bertrand for the last one. So there you go. Yeah. There's the bonus rundown.
I think, in all fairness, Rich, I think with the fixtures and the goals, I think we've done well to try and provide a bit of a bit of entertainment this afternoon. It's not the most exciting afternoon. There's only been, was it 3, 4, 5, 6
No,
goals
indeed.
in four
Indeed,
games.
we haven't had that many goals. We
We haven't.
just cover, just to be complete here on the Chelsea game. The bonuses have gone to Giroud with 28, Kovacic somewhat surprisingly in the second spot with 24, and Lloris managed to get a point there as well. So
Okay.
not many, looking across all those bonus owners, really Pope probably the highest owned player with 3 bonus points of them all. And then if you've still hung on to Mopé, you've got some points there as well. But yeah, there we are. Yeah,
Thank you, Rich.
pretty dull on the bonus
Yeah.
for the majority of active players.
Interesting stat here for anyone who bought Matt Ritchie a couple of weeks ago. They're already having a bad week because he was benched. He's now come on and he's now been booked. So even worse if you're a Matt Ritchie owner. That's not good. James Envoy is shouting VAR review Red Lundstrom.
Way.
I hope you.
I think he's just trying to cheer us all
I
up.
hope you're joking, Christ. I hope you're just trying to bring a bit of
the reviewing
of drama.
He'll be getting a minus return there.
Yeah, he came on the 81st minute for Sander Berge.
Well, can you imagine the ownership will plummet if he's out for 3 games for a straight red?
VAR, so this is off Brighton's official Twitter. Lundstrom goes in high and dangerously on Dunk, who stays down. VAR checks and it says no red card.
Oh.
Wow, I'm not even sure if he's got a yellow, but I'm not sure if he's got the yellow, but that would put him on a 0 pointer. Unbelievable. Thank you, James Conroy, for the update there.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, good bit of drama with 5 to 10 minutes to go.
It'd be even better if he got the goal now, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah, absolutely.
It'd be absolute drama. Yeah, there we go. We did have a question. It's gone off the. Where's it gone? Apologies, guys. It was a question about a striker. I think we're talking about Ings and whether to keep him or not. So, in every other season, I would always advocate keeping the player, even though they're not potentially on form, but where they've got the fixtures. This season has been such a strange one, though, because it just seems that I think we talked about this on the podcast on Monday night a little bit, but it was patience just doesn't seem to be getting rewarded this season. And in getting rid of Ings, I would, in any other season, I would be absolutely no. You're balmy, fixtures are great, still looks dangerous, etc. But this season's a bit of a strange one, so I would say to keep him. But if anyone did want to get rid for anyone else, I would say then it's your choice. The skipper, Dunk, has shown the 4th official the stud marks on his leg, but we play on the very unbiased Brighton official Twitter there saying he's showing him the stud marks. I think Lundstrom maybe sounds like he's been a bit.
Oh, there's another goal, I think, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank God, the 7th goal of the afternoon is 3-0 now to
Burnley. Oh my goodness!
What a thrashing! So Burnley, all of a sudden,
they're looking a real.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're looking a real team. 3-0 Burnley. Thanks for that, James, as well. Joe Linton has gone in the book for Newcastle. Nothing too exciting there.
Dwight McNeil with the goal.
Dwight McNeil. So yeah, he looks. He could be a cheap mid, especially since they play in 28 and 31 as well. Looks to be a man on form. Don't know if we've got the. I'm
looking for the assist. I'll bring it to you in a second.
The assist. Yeah, we're not sure who that is. I will just. I'll just update there. But 3-0 to Burnley. They could be. I think McNeil will probably be the talk of a lot of our budget midfield chat over the next week or so. He's a really, really nice player. So he has been quite quiet this second half of the season, especially. But he looks a good player. Looks like Bardsley has got the assist. The very. I would guess the highly owned Bardsley. Yeah. Palace sub, a double substitution in the 89th minute for Palace.
They're looking to hold on there, aren't they? Run a minute off the clock.
Koyate and Benteke have gone off. Riedewald and
They're not
Tosin on.
pushing on for the second goal,
No,
Palace, are they?
they're absolutely not.
No.
So that Burnley Bournemouth. So Bournemouth 2 goals VAR off, but Burnley have really made them pay, and Pope owners again are kind of laughing there, aren't they?
So if you've literally done Pope set and forget and not messed about with it, you've been climbing the rankings recent weeks.
We'll just update that with Bardsley assist. So just to run through the goals and the goal scorers then, just so everyone's aware, in the 3-0. So Burnley 3, Bournemouth 0. Bournemouth have had 2 goals VAR out, but the goal scorers of Burnley: Vidra, Rodriguez penalty, and McNeil, with assists from McNeil and Bardsley. Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 0. Van Aanholt with a screaming free kick, apparently into the top corner, with an assist. So AU was fouled for that one. We're just into 5 minutes added on now in that game. Michael Young, yeah, you're right. A great run of fixtures for Burnley, except Man City in Gameweek 30. I'd agree with that. Sheffield United 1, Brighton 1. So Sheffield United took the lead through Stevens before he went off injured at half time. Webster got the assist for Stevens' goal before apologies. No, there was no assist for Stevens' goal. Morpie got the equaliser, and Webster got the assist for Morpie's equaliser. And Southampton 1, Aston Villa 0. Shane Long scored the goal, and Gineppo got the assist. And Danny Ings went off in the 70th minute for that one, worryingly for Ings owners. He's very, very highly owned, as we mentioned before. So that's earlier on, Chelsea beat Spurs 2-1. A Rudiger own goal in the 89th minute, salvaging some kind of pride of wiping the Chelsea clean sheet for Spurs, but not much left for Spurs. And in terms of the race for 4th place, Chelsea have had a good day, with Spurs obviously losing. Sheffield United being held at home to Brighton as well. So a good day for Chelsea in terms of that. All over Twitter, everyone is saying that Lundstrom was very, very fortunate not to be sent off there. So that will be interesting. Sounds like owner's lucky for the second week running. Sounds like he's lucky to avoid a red, but then some of the others saying never a red. So you never quite know what to believe there. So we're into injury time now for all the games. The FPL average is not very exciting at the moment. FPL average is 9.41 in the top 10k. And 6.99 overall. So if you've scored over 7 today, you are having a stormer.
The worrying thing for me is I've scored 14 points, but I've had used five players.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the same as you. I'll have to have a check in a minute. 90th minute, Burnley sub. Brady replaces McNeil. So McNeil going off to, I would imagine, a standing ovation there for him. Nothing, any kind of last minute goals or anything, just having a quick look for anything. Nothing going on at the moment. The full times will probably start to come in any second now as we approach the fourth and fifth minutes. Michael Wong, great run of fixtures for Burnley. I do agree with that. Newcastle, Spurs, City, Watford in 31. Thank you, Mark Byrne. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Leonardo Silva's on 21 points, so you've done well there.
Well done, Leonardo. That's a top score.
That's a good score. In the 90th minute, Marpai has just gone off for Bernardo. But yeah, 21 is certainly a good score. Let's hear your scores, guys. So anyone who's left on, we won't be on for much anymore, but let's hear your scores. I'll give mine now. I haven't looked all afternoon. I'm on 7 points, so I'm
Bang,
one.
bang on the average there, Andy.
I'm 0.01 above the average.
Yeah, well, you can't really get 6.99, can you? So.
No, it's pretty dire. I've had Henderson, Lundstrom, Fleck, and Ings. A dire
Oh, yeah.
7 from
Yeah,
4.
that's not great, is it? I'm hanging on to a Stevens clean sheet at Southampton, which is, quite
Ah,
significant. If
yeah,
you
that
manage
is
to get any
massive.
sort of score there, then it's So far we're halfway through the games. So if you've got 7 or 8 players left right now, you're looking really good,
Yeah.
and you haven't even had to play. So
Oh,
yeah, quite a few around with at least 2 or 3 Sheffield United defenders, aren't there? That's the thing.
it is.
A lot of people have the keeper, and he's conceded.
Uh,
Um, so yeah,
so Kieran's on 20. Well done, Kieran. Kalyani 16. John Tyner 9 for me. JG 10 from O'Connell, Lundy, and McCarthy. I've got McCarthy looking at me very smugly from my bench. Magic Spitfire, Pope v Henderson rotation gone wrong again. That's always the problem with having 2 very good playing keepers. Result.
so bit of news here. So there is a red card right at the end for Lazaro of Newcastle against Palace. Whistle has now gone, I think, at Sheffield United as well.
Yeah, he brought Zaha down, who was in on goal.
Right.
So brought him down when he was clean through.
Does that mean they've got a penalty, or is it all over?
I wouldn't have thought so. I'm not sure he was in the bot, but I think I think we'd have seen pen. Messi's got his 4th goal. Notorious nerd. 5 from Lundstrom, Grealish, and Ings. Let's hope, nerd, that your Sunday and Monday do you better. I was so close to captain Ings, and only the fact that Mings was back, I didn't. So I'm quite pleased to have switched on to Mane. But yes, a tough old Saturday, Rich. We're nearly
there. We're just waiting for the whistle.
Finished.
Then we could let you all go.
We can.
So yeah, that's been quite an experience commentating on those 4 matches.
On those 4 matches.
2 hours, hasn't it? So thank you if you've stayed with us for the whole period. Thank you for your contributions and your questions. I think without them, we wouldn't have known what to do, would we?
No. There's only been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals in 2 hours to talk
Exactly.
from. But
so, they're not always flying in from everywhere, are they? So when are we doing? Just let's tell them when we're doing this next.
We're doing it next week. So you're not around, you, Rich?
I can't do next Saturday, but I'm sure Adam will be back. And we'll probably get to the as well.
Hope Adam will be back. We thought, because of the games that were on today, there was only 4. There weren't any, kind of massively, important games. We won't get.
There has been a goal. I'll interrupt you. It's 2-0 to Southampton. So I'm just trying to hear right at the end. I think that sealed the victory, but it's 2-0. So let me just see if I can find out the scorer for you. That's the most exciting thing that's happened for ages. Maybe Vard out. It's right at the end, 95th minute. Stuart Armstrong for Southampton.
He looked a nice pick a couple of years ago, didn't he, Armstrong, when he first burst on the scene? I wonder if he will be now. He needs to check his price, actually. But yeah, very good. So goal for Armstrong at the death. 90 plus 5, blimey. So not good. Not good for Villa, that is. So we will be back next week. It'll be myself and Adam. Hopefully Adam will be back. If not, we'll get someone else in, but we will certainly do. We're looking to do them. So every Saturday there's a match on. Every Saturday where there are 3 p.m. matches on, we will certainly look to do one of these. Thank you guys for listening in. Thank you so much for the chat and contribution. We hope we're bringing something a bit different to the FPL community. It's great to be so interactive and to have the chat. Don't forget to catch the live FPL podcast by Fantasy Football Hub on Monday evening at 8 p.m. So I'll be on there. I'll be hosting. We'll have last year's 3rd place finisher Andy Green on again, and our special guest FPL Fairy. The guests we've got on over the coming weeks on that Monday night are quite insane. We've got Neil Murray, so anyone who's active on Twitter will know Neil. We've also got FPL Coach. We've also got Abu Bakar Siddiq, who's famous for his threads. We've got some really great guests on over the coming weeks. The brilliant Will Thomas will also be recording his excellent preview and videos throughout the week on this YouTube channel, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. Remember to subscribe and set alerts so you don't miss anything. So we've not really mentioned this much before, but if you set alerts, it means every time we go live, you'll get alerted, and then obviously you know to jump on. Tomorrow night we'll also be recording our live Sky Fantasy podcast, which will go out on their dedicated podcast feeds and YouTube channel. If you play Sky, please subscribe to those videos and podcasts so you don't miss out. We have former winner Dan Cox on, so it's very rare, you have a former winner of the whole thing on anything, but Dan Cox on, and also Paul McNulty, who jumped on here earlier. Please subscribe to those. All details and links are on the Fantasy Football Hub website, which is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you will find everything you need for fantasy football, all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker Opta stats, top player team reveals in all fantasy formats, and much more. Thank you very much, guys, for all the comments in the chat. Thank you, Andrew Ferguson, Ben Bishop, Christopher Telles. Hoping next week I can improve my my internet. As I mentioned, I've moved up the attic, I've moved my router and things like that, so I'm just happy to get something out this week. Thank you very much to Rich. Obviously, Rich, you've been a fabulous guest as always. It's been quite tough with two. Obviously, we haven't got that third person to give us a bit of a break, but amazing insight as usual, Rich. Thank you so much.
Really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed the questions from the community. So see you again soon.
Good stuff. So thank you all very much for following and listening. We hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next Saturday at around 2:45 to do it all again. Hopefully we'll have some more goals next week and a bit more action. We hope that you have a great FPL day. We hope you all score loads of points over the range of the weekend, and the best of luck for tomorrow. Bye for now, guys. Thank you very much.